Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, you guys. We'll wait for a few minutes just to see if more people want to join, and then we'll start by, let's say, 5:02 or 5:03.
Ma'am, quiz 2 syllabus is up to week 8 only, right?
Yes, if there is any change, you'll be informed in the mail. When is your quiz 2 going to be?
Day after tomorrow.
Wow, okay, so this is a busy time for you guys. So today's session is going to be very short. I hope to be able to end it well ahead of 6 o'clock. Do you have a session today as well at 6?
No, I don't have.
Okay, okay. That's good.
Yes, ma'am. We do have a session actually at 6
Oh,
o'clock.
you also have a session at 6 o'clock. Okay, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. We'll manage time carefully then. Are you all stressed about the exam?
A little bit, ma'am.
Okay. Study well, do your best. English should be fine only. It's not very bad.
Ma'am, actually, the Google website, the Google Chrome website is not showing this IIT thing, so I have to change to some other browser. So, is it so for everybody or only for me?
I wouldn't know that. You'll have to ask your friends.
Yes. No, anybody.
Does anybody have a response to that? Do you all face the same difficulty? I guess not. Okay. So let's start with today's session without further waiting. I think that not a lot of people are going to turn up since it's your exam week as well. Let's just start with a quick recap of what we discussed yesterday. We're talking about group discussions, specifically the kind of group discussions that are used for hiring, the GDs that are used in job interviews where you are a prospective applicant, and your assessors or the hiring panel. They are here to see whether or not you fit into their company and into the role that they're offering at the company. It measures a number of things: your interpersonal skills, your listening skills, how good you are at communication, your knowledge, and whether or not you're a value fit with the company. Broadly, there are three kinds of group discussion topics: general topics, these are also known as knowledge topics or factual topics, argumentative topics or debatable topics, and abstract topics. General topics relate to your general knowledge. Argumentative topics are those topics where you don't really have a right or wrong answer. People can take different opinions on such a topic. So you would be picking a stance or taking a stance and then explaining why you've taken that stance. Abstract topics are generally about ideas or concepts. So it's not about concrete things or facts, it's about ideas. You have to be very conceptual about it. Right. Today we're going to be practicing group discussions. That means we'll be talking. So I would really like it if all of you could contribute at least a little bit towards today's session. Before we go into the practicing bit, I just want to remind you of how a GD takes place. First, the assessors will read out the topic for you. Then there will be one leader. From amongst the group, there will be one leader who will start talking, who will say what he or she thinks about the topic, and who will then open the door for further discussion. Then each member in the group will get, let's say, 1 minute for their own talk, during which time you're supposed to present your thoughts in a very concise, organized, and logical manner. After everyone in the group has spoken, the leader will once again summarize all the things that we discussed in this group discussion. So this is what we're going to be doing today. Always remember, you have to be very respectful in a group discussion. You're not just waiting for your turn to talk. You're actively listening and taking into account other people's opinions and suggestions and incorporating them into your own viewpoint. Okay? Do not attempt to start or lead the discussion unless you have something meaningful to say. That is very important. My plan for today is to demonstrate to you how this is done. So we'll get to that in a little bit. We've discussed all of this today, so I'm just going to skim through all of this and get to today's bit. When you are opening a group discussion, you have to start with a very polite statement. I would like to take the lead in this discussion with the permission of the chair and with the permission of my teammates or my group members. And then you state the topic and what you think about the topic. You also state what are the other possible views that people can take on this topic. Then you invite your group members to talk more about it. If you are not leading the group discussion, if you are just participating in the group discussion, quick check, are you able to see my slides?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, right. If you are just participating in a group discussion, then you make sure that you are not adding too many points into your bit. Stick to maybe 1 or 2 points because you have very limited time. You have to present your thoughts in a logical, organized manner. Stick to 1 or 2 thoughts or 1 or 2 main points. Deliver those points very well and then reiterate or emphasize your viewpoint once again and then invite the rest of the people to talk. Or maybe ask your team members if anybody has anything further to add to that. Any possible counter argument to the stance that you've taken. All of those are ways in which you could invite others to talk. This is a sample topic or a case-based topic that we discussed yesterday. After the reading out of the topic or the case, you have to make a note of all the key concerns of that topic or of that case before you begin to speak. Here you see underlined all the key concerns of this particular case, and then you will be structuring your argument or your presentation on the basis of these key concerns, addressing these key concerns. These are some very useful phrases which will be of great help to you today. When you want to make a point, you would like to say, I would like to point out that. I'd like to quickly add here that. One point that I want to make here is, if you want to disagree with somebody, you would start by saying, I'm really sorry, I would beg to differ with you on this point. I must disagree with you on this one point here, Karthik. Let's say I'm talking to Karthik, or I'm addressing Karthik, right? And then I will add what is it that I'm so in disagreement with. Similarly, you could agree with somebody, but you shouldn't limit yourself to just playing second fiddle to somebody. Like, you don't just agree with them, you also add something of your own. I second your opinion, but I would also like to add something more to it. I'm glad you mentioned that, because it is in relation to something that I wanted to mention myself. What is that thing that I wanted to mention myself? Sometimes you agree with people, but you're not fully in agreement. You have a few doubts or reservations. So you say, I see where you're coming from, and I agree with you, but there is another point which you might not have considered. It is always preferable to not interrupt somebody, but if you are interrupting somebody, make sure to do it in a very polite manner. Right, we had discussed this yesterday as well. We saw that in a case, we should be quickly able to identify the key concerns of the topic. Here, the key concerns are that there are very few people who are signing up to this content streaming platform, and that their pricing is too high. So, when you frame your answer, you are trying to address these issues directly. How to improve affordability, how to improve the lack of local content. These become the key areas around which you structure your own argument. Right. Here are some things that you should not do if you're participating in a group discussion. You don't just repeat something that somebody has already said. Don't appear very indifferent or uninterested. Don't act like you're too uppity for this, right? You have to sound like you are participating in that group discussion in with a lot of interest, actively participating. It's always, we all have a tendency to be that one person who talks and talks and talks. That should not be the case. You should not try to dominate the group. This is a discussion, not a debate. Keep that in mind. Never make any kind of personal, sexist, or casteist attacks on anybody. We had covered all of this yesterday. This is just a quick recap. Now, today we are going to have a discussion. This is our topic for the day. A university education is not worth pursuing in India today. I want you to take a few moments, think about this topic, and I want everybody to come up with just one point that they want to say in relation to this particular topic. Just one point. Can you do that? Take 2 minutes, come up with just one point that you would like to speak about in relation to this topic. Please do not leave the meeting because you do not want to talk. It's okay if you do not want to talk. It's just that I would really appreciate it if you would like to offer up some of your opinions. I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes. Please think about this. Shall I begin then? I'll try to lead and then all of you can pitch in. Do you remember yesterday Saravanan had given us a very good opening statement? He had demonstrated to us how he would speak in case he were leading a discussion. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
So today I am going to demonstrate to you how it is that we could lead this discussion. But then I want all of you to pitch in as well. Okay? Right. With the permission of the chair and with that of my group members, I would like to begin this discussion on the topic, a university education is not worth pursuing in India today. In this time, or in this day and age, where industry exposure is valued so highly, it is understandable why someone might say that a university education is not worth pursuing in India today. However, I don't think that this is a very simplistic issue. I think that we should be able to look at this issue from multiple angles. Personally, I do not think that a university education is obsolete in this current job market. I think that a university education is a greatly valuable acquisition that anybody who wants to enter an industry can have. The reason I believe so is because, in my personal experience, it is during one's educational years that one cultivates a passion for the subject, which will later help someone who is going into an industry. Without this passion in us, we might find it very difficult to continue doing the same task over and over for several years because it just becomes repetitive and uninteresting. But when we have cultivated a passion for the subject, we will be able to think innovatively about a problem and utilize our educational training in order to solve a lot of complex problems. This is my own personal stance. I would really like to hear what my group members have to say about this. Right, I'm done. I'm ending here. Now I want each of you to pitch in. You understand the topic, no? Do you want any clarifications? They're saying nobody needs to go to college anymore. Everybody can just start working. That's what they say. Okay? And I don't agree with this. I think we should all go to college also, because that's the time when we actually cultivate a passion for the subject, whatever subject it might be. And this is going to help us do tasks related to that subject in a much more effective and innovative manner. This is me speaking, okay? Now I want you to speak. Anything, just one point. Everybody, just one point.
Could I start now?
Yes, please, go on.
I also would like to pitch in my views on why I think a university education is not really a waste. It is something which is really worth pursuing in India today. In today's world, education is one of the most essential skill sets to have in one's arsenal. even though it might seem that it may not be of much use in one's later life, it does invoke a very important skill, which is indeed the skill to learn. Having a university education, I mean, having a formal university education, um, one might learn the skill to be able to learn anything under in one's disposal, even if they might not like the subject or uh, be passionate about it much. But it is indeed a skill to learn even something which is not uh, someone's own taste. University education also emphasizes in a lot of uh, major topics which are of much use in the society in today's world, as the professors or other faculty working in universities might be much more experienced than the students themselves. I agree that many students might find it very easy, or I mean, might find it better to be able to self learn several skills and apply these skills in in the industry today. But I believe that university education is what solidifies this skill set and helps them learn a lot of things even in their later lives.
Very good, Varun. Thank you very much. Okay, now Saravanan is pitching in through the chat. Let's go through that as well. I'll read that out for you. So now we have my opinion, we have Varun's opinion. Now we're going to have a third opinion here. I second what Varun said, and I would like to add on one more point. Look at that phrasing. He's agreeing with Varun, he's also adding something onto it. A formal degree from a reputed Indian university, such as IITs, IIMs, or AIMS, can open doors to prestigious global opportunities and networks for a person because they give more in depth theoretical knowledge. Very good. That is true, Saravanan. So, an education, according to Saravanan, it's not just about learning, it's not just about building a passion, like I pointed out or like Varun pointed out. It's also about being able to build a network. So there's an already existing academic network. You kind of position yourself as a part of that academic network. You learn from all of these knowledgeable people, like Varun said, but you also kind of open doors to more, greater opportunities, better opportunities, which you would otherwise not have been able to have. Very good, Saravanan. Right. Now, anybody else? Have you see how this is going, right? I put in an opinion. Varun put in an opinion. Saravanan put in an opinion. Who's going to speak next? Anybody? Just one point. You can also disagree, by the way. If you feel like, no, this is such a waste of time and money and effort, you can disagree. Just give a reason as to why you think so. Do not worry about grammatical errors and the such. Remember that our priority here is to practice and understand how to communicate. Snehanshu, would you like to try?
Yes, ma'am. Well, actually, I totally agree with you, Varun and Sarvanan, in the sense that university education is really a prerequisite, and not only that, keeping that as the ethos, we can also we should also look around for opportunities such as internships and industry exposure along with that, so that on the whole the profile of the candidate becomes much more better compared to just sticking to the university education. I don't disagree that university education is not worth, I say it is the ethos, but we have to put the body, the structure, the foundation, which sometimes we lack in a lesser prestigious institutions which are in India. So, in order to cope that up, we have to look into other resources. We have to be like a sponge, absorbing from the different other opportunities that are coming, so that we actually evolve in a much better way, even if we don't get those opportunities which Sarvanan has said that we might get in a prestigious organization. So we should not lament of the fact that we are not there, but we have to, make ourselves graded up. Like, I would share my personal experience once, that I was a marine engineer, and for 5 years I served the merchant navy. Then I had a fatal bike accident. For a decade, I was hospitalized. Then again, I tried studying, and today I am in IIT, but on an online course. But I'm also looking for the same, so that I can evolve and be a good contestant in this long run. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Snehanshu. That was very, very insightful. Now, do you see how the discussion is evolving? We are moving the conversation forward with every person's perspective, right? So, Snehanshu just added on to all the things that we discussed before him, saying that a university education can open different kind of doors for different people, and that the fact that you are getting a university education does not imply that you lack industry exposure. So you should try to grab any opportunity for industry exposure, for actual practical experience and application of your skills wherever they come to you, right? In that way, you're trying to build yourself up. That's very true, actually, because he also said that we should be like sponges. Imagine that. We shouldn't just be sitting passively in a classroom. I said that we should realize what a passion is. So let's say you learn like 5 subjects, you're only passionate about 2 subjects. If you are passionate about those 2 subjects, then Varun, was it Varun who said? Yeah, it was Varun who said that it's also a skill to learn. So you learn all the other subjects which you might not be passionate about as well, but about the subjects that you are passionate about, you are going to absorb it like a sponge, and you're going to build yourself up in several different ways, including through internships and through industry exposure. See how our discussion is evolving. Each person is adding to the other person's perspective. This is how a group discussion should work. Now, I'm going to ask once again, anybody else who would like to say? Shaurya. Is it Shaurya or Shaurjya? I'm not sure. Tell me. Go on. Speak, no? Oh, did you accidentally raise your hand? Okay, that's all right then. Right. No worries then. Anybody who would like to say anything? Another perspective? Rajdeep, would you like to try? Okay, then let's conclude this discussion here. Now, since I started the discussion, you know what my duty here is, right? The whoever leads the discussion will have to conclude the discussion with a summary of all the things that we discussed. After this very fruitful discussion, we have come to the conclusion that a university education is not a waste of time and energy. In fact, a university education, like Varun said, is a valuable tool in anybody's arsenal, right? Varun mentioned that to learn is also a great and valuable skill. Saravanan pointed out that a university education could open global opportunities for the student who would be learning not just from very experienced masters of their craft, but who would also be positioning himself or herself as a part of that network. Finally, Snehangshu added to our discussion by saying that a university education does not exclude industry exposure. So we should be, as students, we should be trying to build ourselves up in varied ways so that our education goes hand in hand with our industry exposure. I thank everybody who participated in this discussion and who made this discussion meaningful and impactful. So there we have it, a conclusion. I hope this is making sense to you now. This is not just abstract things that we're talking about. This is an actual communicative activity which happens in this manner. Somebody begins, other people add on, and in the end we conclude. Right. So let's move on. This is a case-based topic. It's a rather elaborate topic. You are the familial inheritors to the rare artistry of Rogan textile painting. Your father, who runs the art business, does so at a very small scale level, relying only on income received from mostly foreign tourists who visit only in peak season time, the October-November festival season. You, however, believe that a strong social media presence coupled with international order shipping can greatly boost sales. Your father is skeptical about this. Skeptical is doubtful about this. He thinks, oh, you are coming with some new ideas. I don't think this idea is going to work at all. Firstly, because he believes a lot could go wrong and money could be lost when shipping internationally. Secondly, because he does not understand the concept of social media. How would you discuss this with your three brothers so that you can convince your father to give your ideas a shot? Interesting case, no? If you were the person in question, now you have to use your imagination as well. You have to imagine yourself as the familial inheritor of this rare artistry of Rogan textile painting. So you are an artist as well as a businessman. And then think of ways in which you will convince your father to expand your business. You need to make sure that you communicate to him that no, we are not going to lose money by doing this. See, this is what social media is. Let me show you how this works. So what steps will you take in order to do that? Think about this and try to give me an answer. Here I am not going to interfere because I feel like I've interfered enough. Okay? So I want you to just think about this. Think about this as young people who are social media savvy. How are you going to convince your father, your imagined father, to take up new avenues of business? Give me one suggestion each. Think for 2 minutes, then give me one suggestion each. Ready? Who would like to begin?
There is not a need for leaders in this one, right? No?
No, there isn't any need for any leaders. We could have a leader, but I'm not going to lead here. Like I said, I feel like I've interfered enough. Okay, Sarvan, with the permission of the chair and my team members, please start the discussion. What would you do? Okay, I'm going to read out what Saravanan has written here. My starting point would be that I would start by convincing my father by telling him that social media is a vast platform for people, where people share their insights. Okay, what else? Remember that you're trying to run a business. So you might also want to show him some social media pages through which other people run their businesses. That would be helpful, I think. If you are starting like this, that might be helpful. But I'm interfering again. I should stop interfering. Yes. And we can post ads, and curious people can hope over, and we can run our business into a great reality. Turn our business into a great reality. Yes, you'll show him how to post ads on social media. And you can show him how people respond to these ads. Just on a trial basis, maybe. That's a very good way of convincing your father. Very effective also. Instead of saying things, you're doing things. Very good. Anybody else? Any other tactic that you can think about? Remember that he is a little worried about whether money could be lost when shipping internationally.
I I would bring the fact that social media today it has evolved over the last several decades, like few decades, to such a point that there have been several companies with initiatives throughout the globe and competition, which has reduced the cost that the end consumer has to pay in order to get started with social media. A lot of the foundation and a lot of the technology behind what runs makes the social media work is already in place. The servers and all of the connections throughout the globe is already there. Uh, Smaller content creators and smaller companies can easily set up uh, forums and ways to uh, channel what they are doing to the mass audience without spending much money at all. In the long run, they might want to spend a bit more money trying to, as Sarvanan said, pointed out, advertise what they're doing to a larger audience. But even that is not necessary in the short term.
That's a very good point, Varun. So you're trying to show your father, listen, we don't really need that much of money in order to advertise or in order to market our products through the social media. It's actually quite cheap. So let me show you how easy it is to do this, how secure it is, how easy it is, and how cheap it is. We don't really have to invest a lot here. That works with all parents. So that's great. You don't have to invest a lot here. Let me show you the results. That great. That works very well. That's great. Okay. So he also made a very important distinction between the kind of steps that one would take in the short run versus the kind of steps that one would take in the long run. So to begin with, we're only looking at the short run. In the short run, the expenses are very, very limited. That can be a great advantage for you when you are trying to convince your parent. Yes. Anybody else? Anything else?
It's a very similar strategy for me, rather like echoing only, but it came to me. that in a dinner table, I will sit with my father and I would ask him a very naive question that, do you have an account in Facebook? If you don't have an account, I will create that one for my father. Then I will say that this making this account in Facebook is free. But those who work in Facebook get very substantial amount. So we do means we don't have to pay Facebook. I mean, the people who pay Facebook are very less, but the I mean the it is quite economical for us to make pages, and also I will educate him on search engine optimizations on how to elevate those websites so that it goes up to top 5 without having much economical stresses. So if I can indent those two things in his mind, then by and large I can kind of convince him that this is a very economical step, so that not only you will be dependent upon 2 months, October and November, but from Jan to December, and get quite a lump sum amount.
That's very good, Snehanshu. So do you see this? So whatever Varun had said, Snehanshu is adding to it. Saravanan said something, Varun added to it, and to what Varun said, Snehanshu has added. Right? And Snehanshu's approach is very similar to what Varun has taken. The only difference is that he is being a little more, tactical about it. Dinner table, do you have a Facebook account? He's playing his cards like any typical son would play his cards, right? That's very effective also. Do you have a Facebook account? Let me set up a Facebook account for you. Let me show you how effective, how smooth, how inexpensive it is. And that is going to work very much in his favor. There's also something else that Snehanshu mentioned, which is that he would be doing this in the off season. That is, in the period when there isn't a great deal of sales happening. Right? So, in that, if he's trying to move strategically during that period, it is more likely that he will get a favorable response. Because as it is, there aren't a great deal of sales happening in the off season. So that's also a very good strategy. Now I hope you see how this works. You get a case, immediately your focus is drawn to the issues at hand. Then you are trying to structure your response in such a manner that you address those issues. And we see how every person's suggestion is slightly different from the other. Together, we can arrive at actionable steps, which we can actually implement in order to solve the problem at hand. That is the idea of having a group discussion like this. Right, let's move on. This is our last topic. Once this is done, we end, okay? You are a team of 5 who have been working at a prominent ed tech company, educational technology company, for over 5 years. Some of you climbed the professional ladder at this company from scratch, first arriving as a student volunteer teacher. Saravanan has also given us a conclusion. To conclude with the discussion, I would completely agree with what Varun said about the investment cost reduction due to the upgradation of technology and security. I would completely rely on Snehanshu on his point of creating an account in social media's usage, and that shows how one can use social media on the off-season time to flow up the sales. Right. So that's a very good conclusion as well. You are obviously understanding how this works. Thank you very much, Saravanan, for that conclusion. It had slipped my mind, actually. Right. Some of you climbed the professional ladder at this company from scratch, first arriving as a student volunteer teacher, moving on to intern with the R&D vertical of the company, where you generated educational content after extensive research, then taking up a formal research position upon graduation, and finally entering the position of a junior manager for the R&D team. In recent months, you have noticed that the company has been spending 5 times the amount of money on marketing and sales than it is spending on R&D. In a context where circumstances of education during the pandemic are changing, and those circumstances have subsisted even after the pandemic, those changed circumstances are continuing in force. And there is a general need for fast-track innovation in educational strategies. Discuss the next course of action with your teammates regarding striking a balance between R&D and marketing or sales. Do you understand the case? Take 2 minutes. Just like you did with the last case, identify the problem areas here. What are the things that you should focus on? What is the problem here? What should you find a solution for? How can you argue or suggest an effective solution for the problem? Think about it and then give me your answers or responses. So the problem here is that you are somebody who knows exactly how EdTech functions because you started from scratch. But in the recent months, there is very little spending on R&D, and most of the budget is allocated for marketing and sales. So you feel like, remember that you're also a junior manager for the R&D team, you feel like this kind of growth is not going to be sustainable. Maybe you have a boom right now, but this is not going to last because you're not investing in R&D. How can you argue that R&D is just as important as marketing and sales? This is the concern of the topic. Keeping that in mind, structure your answers. Like earlier, just one point.
Should I start, ma'am?
Please go on.
EdTech has. Oh, I'm sorry. Should I start it like with a leader or something, or just like that, ma'am?
Preferably, yes. Just so you get used to that kind of phrasing. Preferably, yes.
Okay, ma'am. With the permission of the chair and my group mates, I would like to start with the lead in this discussion. EdTech has made its name today only by redefining what education has been over the last several decades. EdTech only came into the masses because it was ready to innovate. But unfortunately, I have a feeling that today in our company, we are not spending enough money to innovate, enough time or enough money or resources to innovate. I agree that getting our name known to the masses and having more people indulge with our products is very important. But having them stick around, retaining them is also one of our greatest priorities, especially as the pandemic is coming to an end and people are starting to go back to their normal ways of life. Our products may not seem as uh, pleasing to them anymore. They might want to retreat back to what they were used to. The only way to retain the customers that we've gained over the last several years is to keep innovating and sticking to what made us great today. I would like to call on my teammates to add on to this discussion.
Very good, Varun. Thank you very much for that. So he has pointed out some very, very crucial aspects of this issue. By getting our name known to the masses, they might be able to recall our product more easily, but it is just as important to retain our clientele as it is to get more people to sign up. So retaining our clientele, or how well we can retain our clientele, depends upon how willing we are to innovate. That's what Varun mentioned. Now, would anybody like to add anything to that? Any one point? Why without R&D it would be really, really difficult for an edtech company to survive? Any opinions or views? Rakshya, you've been here the whole time, but you've not said anything. So I just want to ask, would you like to say something? I guess not. Mohit, would you like to say something? I think I'm scaring people away. Okay, would anybody like to add on anything to that? Nothing. Right, then I'll just add on one small point to that, which is that education is just one of those sectors where nothing remains static. It's a very, very dynamic kind of field. Your textbooks, for instance, even a physical textbook, it's constantly revised and improved. So, if we are discussing the case of an ed tech company, then it would be that much more important to revise and innovate, to research more and more into the kind of content that they're putting out and how well they are putting out this content. And to work on the quality of what they are delivering. At the end of the day, if they fail to invest in R&D, they will be allowing the quality of their content to drop. And allowing the quality of content to drop is the death knell of any kind of educational sector. You cannot look at knowledge as something that remains static. You have to look at knowledge as something that needs to be constantly revised and improved. If you do not look at knowledge in this dynamic sense, it grows outdated. Our world is changing all the time. So we have to keep pace with the world. That is where R&D is more important than marketing and sales. Or we could say as equally important as marketing and sales. In this manner, we could pitch in our opinions, and here Varun would be, since Varun is the leader here, he would, imagining that more people had pitched in, he would then conclude the discussion by summarizing all the things that had been discussed. Varun, would you like to conclude?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So with that, with the fruitful group discussion that we've had, I think I would like to conclude that it is indeed true that research and development in our company has stagnated over the last few years, and it is very important to step up as research, as we would have to research, revise, and develop the quality of our content. And if the content decides the level of content decides to drop, it would immediately result to the death of the industry.
Okay, that was a very good conclusion. Thank you very much, Varun. Now I think you get the idea of this. I will try to end today's session now and leave you to get ready for the. Oh, are you able to see my slide?
Now it went down.
Okay,
No, no, ma'am. Oh,
give me a moment. Now, can you see the slide?
No, ma'am.
Okay, it's just a thank you slide. I guess technology is working against my gratitude to you guys. Regardless, thank you very much for showing up for today's session. Thank you for participating and pitching in as well. That mattered a great deal. I hope you'll have a good career ahead of you and that someday these sessions will come of use to you. All the best. Have a wonderful evening ahead and all the best for your exams.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, guys.